It was great to read so many of the comments that you put in my latest video for the All Blacks team selections, and it looks like we've got people watching the channel from all across the rugby world, which is fantastic. So it's a holla this morning to all the folks in Kenya, Papua New Guinea, the Kiwis that are living all over the world, including in Busselton in beautiful Western Australia, as well as in Sydney. And to all the other fans that are watching in on my channel today, welcome. It's great to have you here. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a Kiwi guy who's living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico. And I have a big passion for rugby, and I love sharing that here on my YouTube channel. Now in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my selection for the England team that's going to take on the All Blacks in that first test match in Dunedin. That's coming up on July the 6th. So why don't we get into that show right now. Now I don't know if I've actually shared my goal for this YouTube channel before on any of my videos, but I just want to let you all know now the only thing I'm trying to do with this channel is to build a fantastic community of rugby fans across the world and to help the game grow into different parts of the world. Hence living here in Mexico and doing a YouTube channel on rugby. I think I'm the only Kiwi rugby fan with a YouTube channel in Mexico. If I'm wrong, let me know, and I'll check out the other guys as well. But listen, we're going to talk about the England team that's going to take on the All Blacks, and of course they just played against Japan last weekend. They had a good hit out there, putting 50 points on Japan. And Steve Borthwick, I've got to give a lot of kudos to actually, because I think he's doing a lot of good things now with this England team, and they're finally starting to hit their straps, and I think they're going to be very dangerous in New Zealand from two particular reasons. And the first reason is, I think, because what Ireland did in New Zealand by winning that series a couple of years ago is going to give England the belief that perhaps they never had before on travelling to New Zealand and coming away with a series win. So I think that's one thing that's going to help. But since the Six Nations, we've seen a new mentality from this English team. And of course, they played against France and Ireland and played very good in that Six Nations. They've continued it with their game against Japan. So there's no excuses, is there really? England are going to New Zealand probably in one of the best positions they've been in for some time to really take it to the New Zealand All Blacks. The other thing that's going to happen in this game is this is the first game for the All Blacks this year. It's the first game for Razor Robertson and his new coaching squad to take on these All Blacks and to try and get them ready to play England in just over a week's time. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not the All Blacks can hit the ground running, and whether England, with those opportunities they've had to build themselves into a team, can really take it to the All Blacks in this series. Okay, let's talk about my team selection for this campaign, and I'm only looking at the first test, so we're going to go through the English team that I reckon are going to run out onto the field at Forsyth Bar Stadium in Dunedin in just over a week's time. And we're going to start off in the backs. And first of all, at fullback, as you can see, I think it's going to be Furbank at fullback. He's starting to slot himself into that position very well. This is the kind of fullback I think England have been looking for some time. He's got that ability to bring that ball forward and beat a defensive line straight up, and also set up very good second phase play. As well as Freddie Stewart, he's good under the high ball, so don't expect to have any problems there. I think the All Blacks will be testing him out. I'm not going to get into too much strategy in this video. I'm going to leave that for closer to kickoff when I'll talk about that in a preview video. But George Furbank at fullback, a good selection I think for England. And then on the wings for England, we've got two imports, and I say that with a bit of jest and banter, of course, but on one wing I think it's going to be Fa'i Wabaso. He's been playing extraordinary. He's a game changer, this guy. I said it from the first time I saw him in my videos. I said that he can challenge any defense in the world, and he can change a game as well within a few runs. So I'm looking forward to him getting selected in this first test team. And then on the other wing, I think we're going to see Tommy Freeman, the Australian, of course, and we're going to see him again playing very, very well. He's really good in defence, I think, too, Freeman. So when those All Blacks do ultimately smash through the English defensive line, expect Freeman to be one of the ones covering in the last line of defence. So there we go, Fa'i Wabaso on one wing and Tommy Freeman on the other wing. Then moving into the centres, I think it has to be Henry Slade and Ollie Lawrence. These two started against Japan as well. I think they're the best two for these two positions, and I think from Henry Slade's point of view, his kicking is also important for this English team, and also his experience, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets named as vice captain for the first test against the All Blacks. Then moving into 9 and 10. Now this is an interesting selection process for me, because Marcus Smith has to be in at number 10, because he's a guy that can win you a game, but he's also a guy that can lose you the game. So I think there's too much to be said about Marcus Smith from a negative point of view, so I'll leave that alone, and I'll just focus on that game-changing ability that he does have. So I think he's got to be in this first test team against the All Blacks, and Alex Mitchell inside him as halfback. I think he needs to be that solid rock that he brings in that halfback position for England. So there you go, that's the starting back line that I see for England in this first test match against New Zealand. Let me know in the comments what you think of that selection, and yes, it's the same back line that started against Japan last weekend. Let's have a look at the reserve backs that I think are going to start the first test for England, and I'm going to go with Randall, the halfback replacement, of course. Finn Smith's got to be in there, and I'm putting Slightholme in there. I think he's a game changer as well, and a utility back that can come off the bench and make a difference in the game. So I know a lot of you will probably disagree with me on this one, so again, put in the comments who you'd have coming off the bench, but for me, I'm going to go with Randall, Finn Smith and Slightholme. Time to have a look at the forwards now that I'm going to select in my team for England, and we'll start off in the back row, and it's Ben Earl at number 8, no question about that one. We don't need to debate that one for too long. And then the flankers in this game, I'm going to go with Chandler Cunning himself and Sam Underhill. I think those are the back, or that's the back trio that needs to take on the All Blacks, and I think this is going to be a really interesting part of this challenge for England. Are they going to be able to muscle up against the All Black back three? Check out my video from yesterday on the All Black selection on who I think is going to be in that game, and let me know in the comments whether or not you think this back three for England is going to be able to do the job. Then moving on into the locking position, it has to be George Martin and Itoje for me. These two are really cementing themselves as the best locks England have got going at the moment. Okay, let's have a look at the front row for England that I think is going to start this game, and we've got Bevan Rodd as one of the props. We've got Jamie George as hooker, of course, and the captain of this England team, and the other prop is Dane Cole. That's who I think is going to start the game, and this is the team that started, or this is the front row that started against Japan last weekend. I think this is going to be an area of weakness against the All Blacks. It's going to be really interesting to see how they go. However, when you're playing the All Blacks, you usually go up 20 or 30% in performance alone because of the inspiration to do better. So don't write these guys off yet. I think they're going to deliver a big game for England. So there you go. That's my tight 8 for the English to start the game. Now let's have a look at the forward reserves that I've got on the bench for my selection of the English team. Rightio, having a look at the replacement forwards for England in my selection, and the front row replacement's going to be Dan, Marler and Stewart. Pretty much picks themselves, those three. And then I'm going with Curry and Roots. Those are going to be my other two forward replacements, and that's considering that Steve Borthwick's going to go with a 5-3 split. Don't forget, it may be something different. But that's what I think is going to happen. Probably Roots is a question mark there, and I'm sure some of you will put in the comments what you think is going to happen as far as that other replacement go. So I look forward to reading who you would put in there for that position. Okay, so there we go. That's my England team selection for the first test match to be played against the All Blacks in Dunedin on July the 6th. The first of a 2-match series. The second game will be played at the fortress known as Eden Park, where no team has won for 30 years. It'll be very interesting to see whether we get to that game and England might be up 1-0. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But don't forget to tune in over the coming days, because I'm making video episodes about all of the major international test matches that are taking place around the world over the next couple of weeks. In tomorrow's episode, I'm going to be focusing on the Springboks team that I think will be selected for the first test match against Ireland. That's going to be played in Pretoria. And make sure you tune in for that one and let me know what you think of my team selection for the Springboks. The day after that, I'll be putting forward my Irish team that I think will be taking on the Springboks in that first test match in Pretoria. And then we're going to go into the Wallabies and Wales series, and I'll be announcing my team selections for those two countries as they take each other on down there in Australia. So plenty of content coming up here on Inside Rugby over the next couple of days. Make sure there you go. So that's my team that I would select for England in the first test match to play the All Blacks in Dunedin. Now in these videos I'm just merely talking about my team selections. Next week I'm going to be putting out preview videos of all of these big test matches we've got coming up. I'll go through details of where I think the games are going to be won and lost, who are going to be the most critical players, and of course we'll talk about the actual teams that have been selected, not the ones that I think are going to be running out on the field. So make sure you tune in for all that, and the best way to do it is hit the subscribe button, and while you're at it, give this video a bit of a thumbs up to support my content. I'd also like to hear in the comments whereabouts you're watching my channel from around the world. I love to hear that we're growing our rugby community, and like to hear your stories as well, so make sure you include that. I'm going to be back again tomorrow focusing on the Springboks team that I would select to take on Ireland in that first test match in Pretoria. So make sure you check back tomorrow and see whether or not you think I got it right for the Springboks. And the day after we'll focus on Ireland as well. Okay, that's it for today's video. I'll see you all again very soon. Until then, stay safe, stay well everybody, keep enjoying your rugby, and it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now.